So AI actually solves this big heavy lifting of the SOC analysts what they need, but still giving the power back to customer to apply that or not. For example, firewall rules optimization, right? Firewalls are like built over many years, and the number of rule sets are there. How do you optimize them? How do you refresh them? So AI is being effectively used in security operations, in the area of threat intelligence, and we're going to see AI is going to come very handy in the hands of defenders.
Hello everyone, my name is Apalak and a warm welcome to all of you to a new episode of teal'time. Super excited about today's session. I have Vishak Raman with me. I've known Vishak over the years. He is synonymous with cybersecurity. A lot to discuss and share with him, a lot for you to hear, learn through the years of how cybersecurity has evolved, where it is today, and what's going to happen in times to come. Without further ado, I want to welcome Vishak. Vishak, a very warm welcome to teal'time.
Hey, thank you. It's been always a pleasure to interact with you.
Right. Vishak, see, before I delve into cybersecurity, I'd like to start with knowing you. And the first thing that came to my mind when I got to know that I'm going to have this session with you is, what got into cybersecurity? Why I'm asking this is, was this a choice that you knew from the beginning, I have to be in this space? Or was it a matter of chance? How did it all begin?
Yeah, it started as a matter of chance.
Okay.
And then it made it to be a matter of choice.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And the chance was given way back in 1998.
Okay.
When I just joined a company, HCL Technologies.
Right.
From the campus. And that's when we got into this whole VSAT technology from connectivity point of view. And I was very curious to know about network security. Okay. That's where I started. Okay. Understanding how people get connected, and what's the security architecture which needs to be securing those communications, right? So from VSAT to then I joined a company called SIFI, and which is again one of the India's first ISPs, right. Private ISPs, and there I joined as a normal seller for connectivity. But that's when they said, why don't we look at the future?
Right.
And CEO Ramraj was very keen to look at cybersecurity. So
fantastic.
Then they said, let's form a division only for cybersecurity. And that's when people asked me, would you be interested into driving into cybersecurity? At that time, it was purely network, and firewall is the cybersecurity.
Right.
But from there, when I got into network security, then really understood the facets of cybersecurity. And it's actually a very interesting journey of how you bring in the human element in cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
It's a constant battle between attackers who's trying to keep up one level above the defense, and the defenders who are using tools and techniques to keep these attackers out.
Right.
So it's a constant battle, and it's always been a battle between the good and the bad guys in those early days. And if you're doing a good fight and giving a kick on the bad guys, it's a fun.
Absolutely.
So then it became a choice.
No, the battle between good and bad is as historical as mankind, right? Ram fought Ravan, and we are fighting cyber activists, cyber attackers. But tell me something. So you're spending 25 years as a cybersecurity expert, and I'm wishing you the next 25 to be as exciting, if not more, to come. And my question is, and I know, you specialize in many aspects of cybersecurity, but there has been a focus towards enterprise security. But before I get into that, what I understand is, cybersecurity conceptually touches everyone, right? It is not confined to enterprise alone. As individuals, like for instance, I have 2 children. I'm concerned about the data privacy on their devices, right? The security of their devices, and so on and so forth. We use broadbands at home, and it's the touch points are there for everyone to see. How do you see cybersecurity has evolved over the years? Because from backrooms of enterprises to boardroom discussions to our living rooms, how do you see this journey?
Oh yeah, I call it as a fascinating journey where cybersecurity was actually an enterprise problem, right? And that's where people thought it's a technology backroom problem. But then it moved into the boardroom discussions in the last decade because the impact what it has over the organization is very profound. So it became a boardroom problem. But today, with the amount of connected device what we see in the industry, whether it's IoT security, whether it is your device security, your endpoint security, this whole connected world has brought in cybersecurity is a living room problem. So this whole journey is, what I've seen through in the last 2.5 decades is, it's been a fascinating story of how this whole cybersecurity attacks have changed in terms of the volume of attacks. If you look at our recent ransomware report, we saw a rise of about 13x in the first half of 2023.
13x?
13x growth.
Vis-a-vis 2022?
Oh
my God.
So if you look at it, the volumes have increased tremendously. And despite close to about 80% of the organizations have shown, I'm well prepared to handle this ransomware menace. So the volume of attacks have increased. Second, what I see is the variety of attacks have actually changed a lot. Whether it is going to be hit and run, a targeted attack, a state-sponsored, now tilting towards using AI as an effective tool to launch attacks. So the variety of attacks have changed. And the third most important part is the value of the attacks. If you look at cybersecurity today, it's the world's third largest economy. And so if you look at it, the volume, the variety, and the value, and the last and the most important part is the velocity. The speed at which the attacks are actually coming in the marketplace is quite scary. The amount when you see an open vulnerability, when your device is unpatched, the amount of time hackers actually come and hit and check your posture, whether you've done a fix or not, the velocity has increased a lot. So having spent Fortinet spent 23 years in cybersecurity, the facets have actually changed, and these 4 key important points actually sort of define this dimensions of security: the volume of attacks, the variety of attacks, the velocity, and the value what they actually bring in. So I see an important role to be played by a vendor like us in terms of enhancing and helping the defenders to be better equipped against this rapid rise of the velocity of attacks.
Vishak, I'll take a cue from what you said earlier when you started your journey and you took us back to the initial years of how cybersecurity was forming. And when you spoke about how network security was all about firewalls. But the beauty of things is it still remains a very important element of how we look at cybersecurity. Firewall is a very important thing. How do you feel, given where we live in a much more connected world than in the past. With the advent of things like IoT and so on and so forth. How do you think the world of network and the world of cybersecurity need to seamlessly coordinate? Because somewhere, given the times that we live in, I think there intense strategy and cohesive understanding needs to be there. How do you see this panning out?
We see three few important trends. The first and foremost is the way in which the market is getting consolidated. Earlier, we used to look at security separately as a layer and networking as a separate layer. Today, the new world is secure networking, whereby security becomes a foundation element, and whereby you don't look at your networking fundamentals separately, but you have a foundation of security into it, whereby you actually accelerate your security functions at the embedded layer on the network. So, for example, software-defined networks. Earlier, people used to say, okay, software-defined networks is going to be a separate domain, but what we are seeing is this whole convergence of secure networking has actually given birth to secure SD-WAN, whereby security enables to accelerate your applications. SD-WAN is all software-defined WAN, right? So how do you make sure you bring in a better capability in terms of accelerating your business-critical application game? Because applications are going to define how agile the business is going to be.
We all exist because of
the applications, right? So what I see is, how do you embed security at the software-defined layer and make sure you accelerate the good applications and ward off those threats at the networking layer itself? It has immense benefits to customers.
Right.
Because today networks are getting re-architected, right? There's transformation of networks. There is whole refresh of networks happening, and they want to get into the new age of software-defined networks where they want to bring in the business agility, and that business agility comes with security embedded into it. That's immense value to them. So the rapid digitalization will be hindered if you don't have the right security framework. So to me, having the right security is about like having the right security brakes.
Absolutely.
If you want to move faster, you need to have a better brakes, and security acts as a digital acceleration, but not as a deterrent.
Vishak, my next question, I asked this question on behalf of many of my CIO friends. Like you said, in fact, my question lies in your answer of how you define cybersecurity. It has value, it's got volume, it's got veracity, and you spoke of the 4 V's. Question to you is, and to manage that, we have plethora of security offerings out there in the market. I call it the problem of plenty, right? Why I'm calling it problem plenty is because you have different solutions for different issues, right? So you have one problem which is not probably a problem. For instance, if I have to deal with network security, I have many vendors out there in the market. That's one. But the larger issue is, see, if I have to deal with IoT, I have a separate security solution for that. If I have mail, I have a separate security for that. For cloud, I have separate, so on and so forth. As a CIO or as a CISO, for companies who can afford to have 2 different comprised functions of CIO and CISO, it becomes a daunting task. The problem of how, I don't know whether there's a straight answer to this, but what is your giveaway to our friends listening?
As I said, the first trend was convergence. And the second big trend, what we see, is consolidation. And that alludes to your question of problem of plenty. And if you really look at the way cybersecurity is being looked at, it is you have a point problem, then you want a point product. And these point products don't talk to each other. And the moment they are not talking to each other, then what happens is your ability to triage your alerts. Then the problem is about console hopping. You have an email alert, then log into the email security console. Or you have a firewall alert, you log into these consoles. They don't talk to each other. So this problem of plenty is actually created a zoo of products, which they don't talk to each other. They don't share intelligence. They don't share alerts. So this is where I think we saw the first whole consolidation theory, where customers want to simplify this whole mini zoo of cybersecurity products. You walk into an enterprise, they're mired with 30 to 35 point products. They don't share. So we see this consolidation leading to a platformization story, whereby customers are pivoting towards having a security platform approach, rather than a point product approach, which has got independent consoles and huge amount of alert fatigue coming from these independent products. So this is where at Fortinet we looked at how
Can
do
you explain this further? What is the platform approach?
The platform approach is about bringing in key elements of an enterprise security into one place. For example, the first and foremost is, how do you have a common identity framework within the enterprise? because today we are going into a perimeterless world.
Right.
Identity is your only single perimeter.
Right.
So how do you make sure there is a common platform for your identity? Right?
Okay.
And second, how do you look at having a common dashboard to look at all your different security products and have one single common framework?
Would it be akin to see what we see in the cloud world, what we call as the CMP, cloud management platform, which work as a console? So you have a multi-cloud environment. I have one console which manages your multi-cloud environments. Would it be akin to somewhat like that?
So cloud is one of the footprint, but if you really look at an enterprise, it's a collection of on-premise,
absolutely,
your cloud, your endpoint, your devices, and with IT and OT coming in together, there is an edge requirement.
Absolutely.
So apart from identity, you need a common dashboard to look at getting this device visibility. And the third piece is, how do you look at sharing intelligence from external as well as internal, right? So you need to have a common platform approach to look at your threat intelligence as single source of truth. What you see in your on-premise, in your environment, has somebody else seen this outside, right? So a platform is about having common identity, common dashboard, and last most important piece is policy framework. That means if you apply a security control in one of your area, be it cloud, be it endpoint, be it users, be it devices, and that policy is propagated across your entire assets.
Right.
So its platform is about having common threat intelligence, common identity framework, common dashboarding, and most important, common policy framework.
Right.
And this is where we are seeing this whole consolidation era, where customers are moving away from the point products. The features and speeds and feeds game is going out of the window.
Right.
Customers are really looking at saying, hey, can I get security efficacy, which is far more better than the whole feature game. And security efficacy is defined in just two parameters. Can you detect attack faster? Right. And if you detect, can you remediate it? And third area, which is actually emerging, and this is where the platforms play an important role, is can you bring in a level of automation? So it's detection of a threat, remediation of a threat, and automation of threats. These three things surpass this whole feature game, this whole point products, and what the whole market was conceived as defense in depth. There's nothing called defense in depth or layered security. All it means is, can you detect attack faster? Can you remediate it? If you can remediate it, can you automate it? So it's detection, remediation, and automation, and platform is the right way to go with all of those ingredients what I spoke about.
But help me understand, and there are two, and this probably is the tough one here. When you have a platform approach, who helps the CIO or the CISO do with that? Are we looking at a system integrator approach, or can an OEM like you help with that? What's the approach?
I think it's a choice. Where do you start your consolidation journey, right? And the first consolidation strategy is converging of security and networking today. You don't want to have a networking vendor A and security vendor B. Can you bring in the network security elements together? So that's the first step, where you look at your secure SD-WAN, where you look at a common framework to manage your switches, your wireless, your IT infrastructure, and your cloud footprint. And this is where we are seeing this legacy firewall, what we all know for so many years, is morphing into something called hybrid mesh firewall. Whereby we are stepping into an era of a hybrid workforce, because today customers, users don't just come to office and work. It's organizations are adopting hybrid workforce as high as about 84%. Right. And for them to give the flexibility of hybrid workforce, you need to have your security infrastructure ready to support this hybrid workforce. So that's driving this whole consolidation strategy as well. So whereby you start simplifying your network security convergence. Second, you start looking at your NOC and SOC. Network Operations Center and Security Operations Center. Today, that's getting converged. Your security operations today, forms a very integral part of it because the convergence has happened in security and networking already.
Right.
So your SOCs, which used to work in separate silos, is today now combined with the network operations, whereby your security orchestration, your security incident and event management, your SIEMs, and most important, how you consume your external threat feeds from a threat intelligence point of view. Today, organizations are simplifying their entire security operation journey. End of the day, they're worried about these consolidated platforms on secure networking, security operations, and threat intelligence will help me to detect attack faster, remediate those attacks faster, and bring in the level of automation because manpower is going to be a constraint. The cybersecurity skill gap is so high. Today, we don't have qualified people to sort of mitigate the threat. So that puts in the level of automation requirement is very, very high. Right?
I have one question to you, Vishak. You spoke about multiple point products in the market. You spoke about consolidation, convergence. Help me understand one thing. At the vendor end,
Yeah, I forgot to add one important piece, which is on the edge. There's a lot of consolidation happening in the IT and OT convergence. Today, we are exposed in the living room with a lot of IoT devices.
Absolutely.
Right. So while theoretically we can define the secure networking, security operations from a consolidation point of view, the IT OT will play a very important role. Because these are headless devices. You can't put an antivirus agent, anti-malware agent. But how are you going to have mitigating your threats today with this blurred IT and OT converged setup?
Especially in areas like, industries like healthcare, which have very deep interconnections of IT and OT.
And these are life-saving mission critical ones. And you don't want to give the hackers a chance to for a life-saving equipments. So this whole theory of secure networking, consolidation of point products, and this IT OT convergence is what Fortinet is really driving the market.
So the question that I wanted to come back to you on is, do you see a sense of democratization of how we look at cybersecurity? And I'll tell you from where I'm coming. Yes, in a market you have competing forces. There are many multiple vendors trying to attack the same market. But is there a concept of sharing best practices and sharing with each other so that you all are better equipped to what is there at task? Do you see that happening?
Oh, yeah, it's already
early not happening now.
Yeah, it's already started. If you really look at Fortinet, is a founding member of Cyber Threat Alliance (CPU). Where our competitors are part of it. So whereby we share our threat intelligence back to them. So the world is not about vendor A and vendor B. The world is about how well, because hackers on the other side are colluding, right? And it is becoming a state-sponsored, well-funded. And if vendors don't collaborate and then share the threat intelligence, and today the standards have also evolved, whether it's STIX or TAXI, today they collaborate. And today, these boundaries of enterprise network to actual a community-based one. For example, Fortinet is very actively supporting Interpol. We are a gateway partner to Interpol. That means Interpol has access to our intelligence from the machine intelligence what we've been building for a long time, right? And third, we are a center of excellence partner with World Economic Forum. Where we share our capabilities, our innovations back to the community. So today, this convergence is not just happening on the technology side of it, but the industry needs to collaborate. Whereby you have partnerships built in a very, very solid foundation at the vendor community, with law enforcement agency. And third, how do you make sure you elevate the cybersecurity knowledge at the board level, at the World Economic Forum level? Because today, cybersecurity is the third largest economy.
Like you said.
Yeah, so we got to control this menace only by collaboration, partnership. Cybersecurity is a team sport.
I get it. Very well said. Vishak, I'll come back to you on a point. You focused on detection, remediation, and automation, right? Three key elements of how you look at how you can manage and mitigate a cybersecurity threat. I want to focus a little bit on the automation aspect and then get your views on, you've seen the growing emergence of AI in our day-to-day lives. There is a lot of consumeration of IT, right? We see AI also getting entrenched very deeply within enterprises. And we saw since last year and the beginning of this year, certain use cases of generative AI also, right? We see the utility and the use of AI in cybersecurity, how it's helping you mitigate and manage cybersecurity issues. But that's one side of it. The other side is it's also useful to the threat vector, right? Or the threat perpetrator. There are two sides to it, essentially making them even more dangerous and riskier than they were earlier. How do you see this space emerging?
Yeah, AI in my view, it's a double-edged, and if you really look at it, can be used in the weaponization of attacks, and also the guardians of it, right? So if you look at it, AI being effectively used at scale by hackers, whether it's understanding your personal profile, looking at creating personalized targeted attacks, the amount of intelligence being brought in, whether it's a social media vector or whether it is your personal profile, the amount of data collections, AI being very effectively used. And whether it's the AI bots, which is sitting on your computer and then looking at your activity before you go into a financial site, triggering those specific malwares, right? So whereby we see clearly AI being well used at scale by the hackers. But on the defender side of it, if you look at the way AI is being used at Fortinet, I can talk about that, where we built with our 23 years of experience an AI model with our FortiGuard labs, which is trained for about 6.5 years. And 40 of our 54 products has AI built in. So we came out with a product called Fortinet Advisor, which is an AI tool, which is embedded into our SIEM and security orchestration SOAR tool, where customers can actually query our SOAR tool and then say, hey, did you find this threat somewhere else? What I'm seeing today. And the Fortinet Advisor goes and fetch with the wealth of intelligence what we have built over our FortiGuard cloud, and then gives that intelligence back to him in a consumable, simple, human language.
Gen AI platform, how we interact with.
So this is something which Fortinet has built over many years of our experience in the cybersecurity space. So customers can use and refer back. So AI is being effectively used in our security operations, where the volume of data, what we analyze, it need not be just your IP address, your SHA value, but the scale at which these attacks are getting proliferated. You want to make sure that you have a vertical knowledge, you have a specific domain knowledge, or if let's say if it is it's a database application, you want to make sure that what are the vulnerabilities what you actually seen in the worldwide, and then bring in that intelligence back and understand what is your indicators of compromise, what you see in your setup, and mash it up with the global threat intelligence. So AI actually solves this big heavy lifting of the SOC analysts what they need, but still giving the power back to customer to apply that or not. For example, firewall rules optimization, firewalls are like built over many years, and the number of rule sets are there. How do you optimize them? How do you refresh them? So AI is being effectively used in security operations, in the area of threat intelligence, and we're going to see AI is going to come very handy in the hands of defenders.
So it finally boils down to who uses it more effectively, the threat perpetrator or the guys defending against him. Very good. Vishak, I have a last part of the series which I call it the Quickfire Round. Right? Quick answers, you don't have to think so much, right? And it'll be an easy shot for you. I have 5 questions. I'll start with the first one. The most underrated cybersecurity threat that keeps you up at night.
phishing,
Okay.
email security. People take things for granted in email, but that's one of the common vector.
Right. Okay.
And now with mobility coming in, that would form the second one. But email is still the number one attack vector for
Okay.
people.
Okay. 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 Your second question: a cybersecurity misconception you'd like to debunk in one sentence.
Cybersecurity is not a technology problem. It's a community problem. And once you move away from technology and then look at it and enhancing your human firewalls,
Right.
your users, and that would actually be strengthening your human firewalls is equally important.
Beautifully put.
Than I would say equally important to your technology controls.
Right.
Being an equipment vendor manufacturer, but I can tell you, training your users
Is as important.
Because human firewall is your last line of defense.
Beautiful. Okay. The third question: your favorite analogy for explaining cybersecurity to a non-tech person.
Cybersecurity is a team sport.
Okay.
And in the team sport, people need to come in together, whether it's business, whether it's a technology team, whether it's organization's board. Today, cybersecurity, or for that matter, the law enforcement agencies per se. So it's a team sport of technology providers. It's a team sport of users, user enhancement from a security knowledge, and then your community, your law enforcement agency, and it's a collaborative team sport.
You need more than one to win the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very nicely said. Now, the fourth question is a tough one because you have 25 years to think on this, but what is that one, incident which still sticks to your mind without giving out the details? The most unusual cyber incident that you can think of in your past 25 years?
Yeah, there's a lot. But when it affects a common citizen, and one of the very close incident was one of the senior citizens losing their hard-earned money onto a phishing attack. And that is very, very sad because today we spend a lot of time in educating our younger generation, but the hacks at the senior citizens are happening a lot. At Fortinet, we have committed to the world that we will train about 1 million plus cybersecurity professionals free of cost.
Okay.
And we're very much on to that mark. So we think, apart from growing the security business, but we have a responsibility to the community to train them and make sure that the cybersecurity knowledge is embarked for the future generation.
Right.
And also train the existing ones.
Absolutely. And my last question is, in so many years of experience, the best piece of advice you've ever received regarding cybersecurity? I'm sure you've learned from so many in this business.
So just to add, after spending 25 years in cybersecurity, I'm still a student in cybersecurity because this market changes every 6 months.
Right.
You got to unlearn because the classical markets, which an IT market is a supply and demand.
Right.
And this is the only market where you have a third axis, which is the cyber criminals who define and then move and pivot. So you need to keep yourself updated. So I'm still a student in cybersecurity. I've just had last 6 months of knowledge, and I still have more years to learn.
Last 6 months of knowledge and 25 years of experience.
You can say that.
Lovely. Vishak, always a pleasure. I wish we could continue, and I'm sure we'll do that in forthcoming discussions. But for today, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
That's it, friends. From my end, it's been always a pleasure having such luminaries as part of our discussions, and more to follow from our end. Thank you and goodbye.